15. Isra. Climbing is harder than it's ever been before. My arms tremble and my fingers cramp. My breath comes fast and my toes slip more times than I'd like, especially knowing Jem's watching from below, close to where we've hidden the bulbs beneath a shallow layer of dirt in the fallow cabbage field. I wanted to impress him, but by the time I pull myself up over the edge of the roof, I'm wishing I'd found some way to distract the guards and gone through the wretched door. I'm starving and exhausted, and not certain I'm going to make it to the top. It makes me think about my mother, about what it must have felt like to jump from the balcony and keep falling and falling. It would be just my luck to tumble off the tower and break my neck right when I feel ready to take on the world. My world, anyway. Yuan seems smaller after my days in the desert. More manageable somehow. Even thoughts of the power, struggles, and the hard talks and difficult decisions in my future don't daunt me. I feel strong. In mind, in spirit. The flesh, however. By the time I drag myself over the balcony ledge, I'm covered in cold sweat and shaking from head to toe. I collapse on the stone floor, in a graceful heap, breathing hard, my heart beating in my stomach, my head throbbing so fiercely, colors bloom in the darkness. My bones vibrate like bells after they've been rung too hard, but I'm alive. I made it. Thank the ancestors, I sigh, then giggle softly to myself. I don't know why I find it funny to say things that Jem says, but I do. I love the way he talks, his myriad of grunts, the rumble in his chest when he laughs. I even love the way he gets grumpy with me and isn't afraid to show it. But most of all, I love the way he touches me, the way I touch him. I've been thinking about it all day, and I just don't see how something that feels so right can be wrong. It does feel right, I whisper, rolling onto my back, breath finally coming easier. It feels wonderful. I smile despite the pain still pulsing behind my eyelids. Not even his nasty headache can dampen my spirits. I stretch my arms above my head and point my toes and arc like a cat, more aware of my physical being than I've ever been. My entire body tingles at the thought of being back with Jem. Unfortunately, my body is also dirty, and a quick sniff confirms none too fresh smelling. There isn't time for a bath. The Jem is well hidden behind the bushes on the unguarded side of the tower. I don't want to leave him waiting, but I can at least have Needle bring a bowl of water and a sponge and beg her to do something with my hair before I go back into the night. After, I ask her to bring me something to eat. I'm faint with hunger. Needle, I call from my place on the ground, too exhausted to bother getting up. I'm back. I'm on the balcony. Can you bring me some fruit and nuts? Enough for two. Who else are you feeding? The deep, angry, male voice is completely unexpected, making me bolt into a seated position. I knock my head on the parquet, but ignore the agony blossoming in my skull as my headache becomes something much more painful. I spin and spring onto the balls of my bare feet, staying in a crouch, ready to hurl myself at the man's voice and knock him flat the second he proves he's here to hurt me. Ro's hint that someone in Yuan has been poisoning me comes back in a rush, making me shake as I demand, "Who's there? Who are you?" "It's Bo," he says, making my jaw drop. He sounds nothing like himself. His voice is so deep and angry and cutting. "You're filthy. Get up off the floor. You look like an animal," he continues, barking at me like one of his misbehaving underlings. "Bo, I want to tell him to leave me be, but I can't until I learn how much he knows." "What are you doing here?" "Better question, where have you been? I discovered you were missing earlier this evening." I hear his footsteps moving closer, and the hair at my back of the neck prickles. My mind tells me Bo wouldn't hurt me, but something instinctive urges me to run, to fight him if he tries to stop me. "Who have you been with, Isra?" What kind of man leaves you looking like that? Like he had you in the dirt. What? I laugh, even as my cheeks heat. Surely he can't mean. You think this is funny? Bo snatches my arm and pulls me to my feet. My laughter ends in a gasp of surprise and pain. His fingers don't feel soft anymore. They bite through my flesh, not shying away when they find bone. You think it's funny to make a fool of me? Let me go, I order in my iciest tone, doing my best to ignore the fear that makes my blood race and my splitting head spinning. If Bo decides to abuse me, here in my private chambers, where no one but he and his father will have dared set foot, there will be no one to stop him. Needle's life will be over if she lays a hand on a soldier. The punishment for assaulting a member of the guard is death. The thought makes my heart beat even faster. Penalty of death or no, she would still defend me. I have to tell her to stay out of this, no matter what. Where's Needle? I ask, trying not to wince. Then Bo's grip grows tighter. I require my maid. Your maid is in your bedroom, he says, his tone openly mocking, with orders not to set foot outside it until I find out who the Queen has been running with tonight. Fury banishes my fear and pain. How dare he? Get out, I snap. Now, before I punish you the way I would punish anyone else who spoke to me that way. Now it's his turn to laugh, an ugly laugh that makes my throat tight. Are you threatening me? It's not a threat, it's a warning. With a sharp jerk, I wrench my arm from his grasp. Pain knifes through my head in response, but I blink it away, ignoring the throbbing behind my eyes and the pitching of my stomach. I can't show weakness, not if I want to take the upper hand. I am the Queen of Yuan. If I wanted you wrapped in chains and tossed into the river, I could have it done, within the hour. You forget yourself. No, you forget yourself, he snaps. You aren't a queen. You're a disgrace. Everyone knows it. That's why your father locked you away in the first place. You have 1 minute to leave before I call the guards. I can't believe I felt sorry for you. His anger is a live thing, hovering in the air between us, threatening to dig its claws into me all over again. I can't believe I defended your life when you deceived me. You're out of your mind. I try to stand tall, but the torture in my skull makes me sway. I brush my hair from my clammy forehead and swallow the bile rising in my throat. I never deceived you, I say, voice breathier than I would have liked. But you would have, he says, when we were married, if you bore me a bastard. For a moment, all I can do is lean against the parapet, gaping in his direction, reeling from shock and trying not to be sick. We aren't even betrothed. But we would have been. It was understood by everyone, and I cut him off with a hand in the air between us. It doesn't matter what was understood. There are no papers signed. You never even asked permission to court me. You certainly haven't earned the right to act like a jealous husband. I plan to ask you to marry me tonight, he says. But instead I find you waiting for news about the welfare of your city. I found the tower deserted, and you out spreading your legs. Stop this, I hiss, shaking with anger. I've done nothing to deserve this, and even if I had, it isn't your place to speak to your queen like a woman you bought for the night, I shout, regretting it immediately as the pain grows so fierce that tears fill my eyes. I take a breath and try to blink them away, hating that Bo might think that I care enough to cry over anything he has to say. But the agony only grows worse. The bursts of color return, coming faster, a dizzying barrage of red and green and orange that makes it difficult to focus on his words. I wouldn't. None of this would have happened if, he clears his throat. I came here to tell you that the dome hasn't been compromised. I did the inspection myself. It was a snakeskin on the glass. I was so happy, he says, a hitch in his voice. For you. And myself. I couldn't wait to tell you. That's wonderful news, I whisper, bracing myself against the balcony wall with both hands. I'm shaking again, shaking and sweating, the misery in my head swiftly becoming more than I can bear. I have to get rid of Beau. I need Needle to help me into bed and then hurry down and help sneak Jem back into his cell. I won't be seeing him or the roses tonight. I can barely stay upright, let alone go jumping from rooms. Beau, this isn't what you're thinking. I hate defending myself to him, but it's the quickest way to get him to leave. I was in my garden, alone. I've been there most the past 2 days. The guards have never mentioned seeing anyone in your garden. I hid in the wheelbarrow when I started to hear them coming, I say, thinking fast. I didn't want company, but I couldn't stand being up here doing nothing. But I did it too much. That's why Needle asked to bring enough food for 2. I need to eat. I barely had enough strength to get back into the tower. How did you get into the tower? He asks. The guards never saw you leave, and I've been watching the main stair all evening. And suddenly, you were on the balcony. Is there a secret entrance? A hidden passage? Please, I mumble, not having to fake the weakness of my knees that sends me sliding back to the ground. I need to rest. I close my eyes, but that doesn't make my headache any less. If anything, it hurts more. I stifle a moan, wishing I were in my bed, wishing I could lie down right here and press my forehead against the cold stone. You swear there isn't. He clears his throat. You swear you were alone. You haven't been with another man. I want to scream, but instead I shake my head, just the barest of movement back and forth. No, no one. Not yet, I add silently. But if there is any way to manage it, I will make sure I take a lover before I marry you. Marry Beau. The thought was nervous-making before, but making me feel like a fish gutted now. But it's unavoidable. Junji will never go along with any of the proposed changes for the city if I defy him. If I refuse to marry his son, I'll find my chief advisor even more difficult to deal with. And if I relieve Junji of his duties, my people will be more frantic with fear and not inclined to love me for turning their world upside down. They have faith in Junji. They trust him to keep their city safe. Even before my father died, it was Junji and his strong, solid presence at the head of the military force that gave the people such a sense of security. My father told me as much. If that's true, Beau sighs. Beau's sigh places him no more than a foot away, his mouth closer to the floor than it should be. He must have knelt beside me while I was lost in the misery of my thoughts. I apologize. I never meant to upset you. I couldn't bear thinking of you with someone else. It hurt me, Isra. I care for you. I would laugh if I could. I know what a hurt boy sounds like. A hurt boy sounds like Jem did last night, angry but desperate for a reason to put his anger away. Beau wasn't hurt. He was embarrassed, and intended to make me pay for shaming him with another man, despite the fact that he slept with every unmarried noblewoman under the age of 30, and a few married ones besides. And this is the man I will marry. This is the man my children will turn to for comfort when their mother is dead. I don't feel well, I choke out, breath coming fast as I try to keep from crying, from being sick, from joining the colors flashing behind my eyes and exploding in a burst of pain. Fetch Needle. You don't need her. I'll take care of you. His too warm, too damp hand touches my cheek, and I flinch, head rushing with thoughts of how that hand will feel on my body, how that hand will touch places only Jem has touched, places I don't want anyone else to touch. It sickens me. It's too much. I roll onto my hands and knees and retch, bringing up my cactus milk, the only thing I've had to eat or drink all day, and continuing to heave until the last of it is gone. By the time I'm able to stop, Needle's cold fingers are on my forehead, testing the temperature of my skin before pulling my hair back and plaiting it into a swift braid. I suppose Beau decided he'd rather not take care of me after all. I'll have to arrange to vomit every night for the rest of my life. Needle, I sob, swiping the sleeve of my long underwear across my mouth. Are you all right? I hold out my palm, and her hand moves beneath my fingers. I'm fine. Has he hurt you? No, I'm okay, I'm ill, I say, voice trembling. I think the eggs you sent with me this morning have gone bad while I was working in the field. I know Needle will understand and go along with my pretense, even before she signs. Pretend I've apologized. Send him away. No one else knows you were gone. We can keep our secret if we're careful. No, it's not your fault. It's mine. I stutter, the urge to be sick returning as the lights flashing behind my eyes get brighter and brighter. Shapes and colors flash and disappear, shifting and swimming as I turn my head. Beau? Yes, he sounds, moments from retching himself. Will you fetch the healers? Right away. I hear him turn to go, and I dare to hope that Needle and Gem and I will escape this adventure undiscovered. And then I hear it, a soft grunt over the side of the balcony. A Gem grunt.